Yo, what's up, everybody? Moses here, summarizing a day 4 of events here in Wolcen. This is day 4 on this character. The game came out a week ago, but we had like a couple of days on multiple different characters. But this is now my main. It has been my main in the last 4 days. I haven't been playing on any other character. And it's a freaking blast. The goal of this character was to obliterate the game content with, just a solid character that's going to be able to absorb a lot of damage, pretty tanky. We scaled crit with this guy, and yeah, like the idea was to focus on like learning the mechanics, getting used to the stats, learning what everything does, and just like exploring Wolcen for the first time. When it comes to all sorts of like busted mechanics, excuse me, I know that some streamers exploit these busted shield nodes that give you 100 times more damage than it's supposed to, and all that kind of stuff. This is for kids. It's not for me. If that's what you enjoy, just abusing unintended, programming glitches or unintended stuff, it's your choice. If you enjoy duping gold, it's your choice. I like to play legit and like really play the video game and explore it and see what I can do with my own resourcefulness, and learning about the game and discovering things on my own, which is why I haven't seen anybody, like no guides, no nothing. I haven't watched anybody um, like streaming, only a couple minutes here and there if I host somebody. And this is what I came up with. Later on, if we hit kind of like a brick, or if I want to try and make other things work and they don't, I'm gonna branch out a little bit and check out what other people are doing. But for now, the first at least couple of weeks, I just want to play on my own without any kind of like external ideas. Just want to see what I can do. Just kind of like push my own experience, knowledge, and limits, or characters to the limit. So let's first answer a couple of questions. I did learn a few things, and this video's goal is to share it with you. It starts with rage um, management, the resource management. So I'm just going to be quick about it. If you're not aware, there are nodes 150 to maximum rage, rage cost reduction, rage cost reduction, rage cost reduction, and rage cost reduction. Okay, these four nodes of rage cost give you almost 20% rage cost reduction, and then 150 to your maximum rage. Outside of that, there are 2, 3, and 4 total nodes of maximum rage that I used to pick up on the tree. Right now on my tree, I'm only picking up those. All right. These increase your maximum your maximum rage by 400. It used to be 550, but now it's only 400, and it's enough for my build. Because there are also other stats in this game that you need to be aware of. First, on the belt, I had more, but now I only have one gem that has transfer time reduction between willpower and rage. What does that do? Essentially, um, the little black bar that you cannot use your rage with, this essentially means that this time is going to be reduced. See, like, this is just the stat, that's what we're talking about. It caps out your, it's like a bottleneck, it caps out your rage, and it limits you from being able to spam more rage. So at the moment, I only have one. I'm still testing it out, essentially changing between 35 crit chance score in an offensive 1, and then in an offensive 3 or 2, whatever it is, or support sockets 1, 2, or 3. This one with an amethyst give you the transfer time reduction between willpower and rage. Every time I go, I mean, I've unspec'd like maybe 15 times just today. Unspec my entire tree, unspec my stat points, and I keep changing stuff. So people tell me, can I see a tree? You can't see the tree. I'm gonna go through the tree, but it's always changing. Even right now, just before I finish the stream, and I'm recording this video just right after the stream, I decided to unspec these nodes. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 nodes right here that I had, 5 and 6. So 6 points that I had that instead I'm now picking, you know, other damage nodes and other things. So the tree is very dynamic, and as I level up, I'm discovering more things and I'm dropping more gear that allow me to change things up. And one of the things that allow me to change things up with the resource are these. So I got this transfer time reduction between willpower and rage on the helmet and the chest. So that's like 60%, right? So this allowed me to get rid of the sockets and use actual crit chance on my sockets here, right? So that's kind of a big deal. Another thing that's even a bigger deal, or in addition to it, are these gloves right here. Both of these gloves have 24% to rage and willpower cost reduction here, and then 35%. So if you add it up, it's 60% less rage cost for your bleeding edge. So that's insane on its own. If you see on the tooltip right now, it says 288, but with these, and I have rage and willpower cost reduction, so just so you see the difference between, I think this is it, right? I only have it on 3 items, but it stacks up to a lot. Rage and willpower cost reduction on all these 3 items that also have other good stats. So with it, it goes down to 189, which is another reason why I unspec'd this point. So I don't need that much max rage anymore, because my my bleeding edge doesn't cost me, you know, it doesn't cost me whatever it was, 360. 360 is insane. It's like very expensive, and now with these equipped, it only goes down to 189, which is essentially half of the cost. So instead of, you know, I'm getting 2 for the price of 1 essentially. And I am, you know, I could still push these with the maximum rage and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like I don't need it. I feel like there's a, you know, I reached a point where I don't need enough resource cost reduction, and you'll feel it too with your character once you start finding these items. And that, on top of the transfer time reduction, that's how I'm maintaining my rage, as well as a couple of potions over here. That doesn't seem to want to go away. Alright, so that's the whole idea with the rage and the resource, and yeah, that's what's happening. What's happening. Now another thing is that cast speed has some effect on your bleeding edge. Now people been writing stuff in the comments. I know what I tested, okay? And from my testings, I can guarantee you that the frames, the casting animation is in fact affected by attack speed. Alright, so I went from like minus 5% without putting any points on agility to roughly 10% over here, and I picked up this. Now this node I'm not entirely sure is affecting my cast speed. I still need to see how it feels. I'm not entirely sure if this one actually affects the attack speed, the you know, the casting animation, you know, how many bleeding edge axes I'm throwing per second. Not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure about this node, but I am speccing into it right now to try and test it, right? It's again like we're learning, but I can tell you that like there is a difference between positive attack speed. That's why it's roughly on 10%. I did put some points on agility, and you know, negative number, you'll get like minus 4% roughly attack speed. So it gives you like 15% roughly the attack speed you're getting from the amount of agility that I currently have with the tree that I currently have. So yeah, just for you to see, this is without any kind of attack speed.
I need more power.
Right? And then I can use the Sovereign Shout, and you can see it's much faster. Right, you can see the buff with Sovereign Shout does affect the casting animation, which allows you to output more axes to deal more damage, okay? So this is, again, people write stuff in the comments. I can't account for what you write or what you know. I can only tell you what I've tested, and I can only tell you what feels right with my own character. And I mean, that's what I'm doing. All right, so that's the idea with the attack speed. Let's go to another major thing that I discovered. These two nodes are in fact crazy good. Okay, I learned that all resists on items are great, and that's why I try to get all resists to all resistance core to elemental resistance core. You can see on this belt right here, um, you know, pretty insane. And then to all resists on jewelry, it's an extremely useful stat to have, occult resist, because it multiplies your all resistance scores on this sheet right here. Right, so if you remove them, it's not plus 40, it's 40% to this, right? To all resistance score, and then additional 44. So it multiplies your all resistances, giving you a massive um, um, damage reduction bonus. Now, the second thing is that I picked up these nodes right here: Siegebreaker, Salvatory Anchor, and the Elevated Gain. Both these nodes give you bonuses based on the base of the armor that you use. For this one for your chest, this one for your helm. And for your chest and for your helm, if you use a heavy armor, a heavy chest, or a heavy helm, which I am, you're doubling the resistances that that piece gives you, which is absolutely bonkers, considering the one I've found has 900 nearly all resist score and 300 over here. So both of these together have 1.2 thousand total all resists. 1.2 thousand, right? That's incredible, but it now is being multiplied to give you 2,400 to all resist, and then stuff like that multiplies that, right? Material resistance score 30% will multiply, 2,400 times 1.3, and so on. So we'll add it all up and then multiply it all together, right? It's really uh, busted defensive. It's not gonna make you destroy monsters in an instant, but it will make you very tough. I can still die and I can still take damage, but like just for you to see the resistances are pretty strong right now with 81%, 70, like we're nearing 80% damage reduction from material, elemental, and occult. And earlier, when I did pick up these nodes with the all resists over here, and there was another all resist node, see, like the cost reduction, right? Before I spec'd into the willpower, right? So we had like all resist scores, all resist scores, and all resist scores. So these again, they multiply everything, and I had like roughly 83%, 82% damage reduction to all different resistance types, which is quite insane. Also pay attention to these nodes right here, incredibly strong, nearly 20% to all resists, and these lead you up to here the way my tree is rotated. So these are basically the two big discoveries. The rage management that came along with the rage and willpower cost reduction. I haven't seen these stats. Like this is a level 149 item. This is level 82. So you can see the 82 does have this stat, but it only rolled 24. The 149 item has this stat, but it rolled 35, and that's like just one of these items is better than 1, 2, 3, and 4 points on the passive tree, which is giving you 18% cost reduction. This item has essentially twice as much with 36, so it's incredibly substantial reduction in your cost. And 300 and whatever it was 40 earlier goes down to like almost 190. That's a massive difference. Literally allow you to double your output and have like a much smoother, well-oiled machine kind of character that spams and doesn't stop. And with the tankiness on these helms, with these, I mean, that was pretty incredible discovery right there. Another defensive layer that we're using is this one over here, in case you didn't see. I ended up not picking up, predicate stamina. I just go for the dire juncture, not the baby node over here, because I feel like I'm so tanky. This will give me like more life, but like I got 90k at this point with the current, um, you know, with the current, way I spec my character. But like this is also an incredible node, dire juncture. It gives you, essentially splits up the damage that you're taking. If you're taking 1000 damage hit, 400 you'll take now, and 600 you'll take a second from now. And during that second, what I've learned is that you can get leech. The leech is applied on life regeneration ticks. So if your health is low, you can see it early game, but late game, especially not me, I didn't spec into life regeneration. I have some life regeneration, but it's practically very, very minimal. Health regeneration 39, so you can't really see it, but along with the 39 health regeneration rate, 0.6, so I guess every 0.6 seconds, you will apply the leech. And leech is in fact 2% from your overall global damage that you're dealing. So you're going to stack up all these 2% from hit. The game will sum up what's your total damage per second, and then 2% from that will be applied every 0.6 seconds. Is the way I understand this mechanic to work, from the way I noticed things in this video game. Perhaps I'm wrong about it, but either way, even if I'm slightly wrong about it, that's roughly the way it's supposed to be working, from what I understand it. And the point here is that instead of being one-shotted, you have an entire second that you can get leech throughout this second, and heal up, and then take the next take of damage, and then you can also use flasks if that's what you're using. I feel that leech for me is perfectly fine to be able to sustain, especially with these kind of resists, which are quite incredible. Like at some point I had like 16,000 and 14,000 resists here. It's been kind of insane, and then I realized, okay, I'm very, very tanky. How about I try and you know manage my tree a little bit different. My tooltip currently is 30.6. It was like 27 point something, and yeah, I got some damage from the tree. I ended up picking up these two melee 16 and attack damage nodes. I did go here, although I'm not entirely sure it's still works. And yeah, that's basically all I have to say about the tree. Outside of that, everything is pretty much the way it was in the previous guide. The tree looks slightly different. I decided I'm not going to leave a tree on the build guide in the description, because again, these tend to change a lot, and so I don't really see the point. You pretty much know what's going on my tree. The Wolcen passive skill tree is a lot easier to find your way around stuff, and you know, so I mean, like just going through here, you can make up the tree for yourself. But I mean, it will change. So I don't want people to come to my stream and be like, "Hey, Moses, on the tree you picked up that, but you didn't pick up this." Oh, another thing that we did see is merciless lethality is in fact an additive bonus. A couple of videos ago, I was not sure whether if it's a multiplicative or an additive. So the -30 is in fact additive, which means it's perfectly safe to use, and we're not losing 30% of our overall damage, just reduced 30% damage. So it's essentially like having 700% in 4.6 instead of 734.6. So perfectly safe to use node, and it works perfectly fine. 100% crit damage, very, very chunky for a crit build, and a small reduced. So very strong node indeed. The 25 when there's only one nearby enemy. These we just talked about, really strong nodes, highly recommended to build around. Willpower, so rage instead of willpower regeneration. And that's it. The leech, the big nodes, that's what we've talked about. The crit, and this is my tree. Hope you guys learned something. No gameplay in this video because like we're grinding, and there's gameplay in previous videos, and you get the idea. You run around, enemies explode. Feels good, man. When it comes to the skills, I mean, again, it's really up to you. I'm using Wings of Ishmir, Blood for Blood, Sovereign Shout, Juggernaut, and I did in fact unlock the 5th skill slot. Finally, I had the gold, and yeah, I was just like been prioritizing other things, and you know, wasn't duping gold and exploiting the video game like some people did. You know, I mean, what can I say? I'm always been legit. So and bleeding it. So to each their own when it comes to the skills, the modifiers. You can pretty much apply every other skill to this build, and I'm sure it will work just nicely. The current level of the skill though is now 84, with 90 being the maximum, and you're getting 1.5 damage base to the base damage of the skill. It's gonna be pretty hard to respect. This is why I think that I'm gonna most likely just start a new character if I want to make a new build, and just keep this character as it is with the items ready to go, ready to grind whenever I feel it, just like I do on other video games. Yeah, I mean, the gear, I'm just gonna hover over things right now just for you guys to see, because some people want to know, and currently there's no profile, exclamation profile command that you can check out. So this is it. This is a pretty sweet amulet that we just got with a 2k HP, and this belt is probably like my favorite piece of item because you know, I had an issue with belts throughout the entirety of the week since this game started. My belts have always been actual pure trash, and I ended up, I think like 95% of all my crafting materials went on belts. All the greater echo, greater entropy orbs, and the entropy orbs, and the ohms echoes, and like everything that I had went on the belt slot, pretty much 99.5%. Then this drops, and I had an Ariaban's tier, essentially the exalted orb of Wolcen, and yeah, I put a crit gem inside, slammed it, got the attack crit chance, and this is a perfectly roll 4 stat, all useful, perfect for my build. So that's pretty sweet. Outside of that, the weapon of course didn't change. Don't think it'll change anytime soon. Finding something better is going to be like quite tough. I mean, possible. People told me that they had weapons with 950 maximum damage, which would of course skyrocket, explode our build, and I'm sure it can get even higher. What I'm not sure, however, one last thought, is how many flat damage numbers you can get. I know you can get 6 stats on a legendary weapon. Maximum roll is either 5 or 6, but how many of them can actually be damage numbers? Maximum I've seen is 3. If you can get 4, that would be insane. That would really, if you can get 5, like, you know, if you can just get flat damage numbers on weapon, because like the life leech from Aether is useless, crit hit damage useless, material status ailment chance score useless unless you're scaling, you know, bleed and stun and all that kind of stuff, poison, but yeah, I'm not entirely sure what's the maximum number of flat damage rolls you can get on an item, but either way, this is the axe. Boots are kind of old. Haven't managed to find any kind of boots. They're still level 73. I mean, and we're doing like, you know, 151 is going to be my next one, so we're pretty far ahead in the game. I am kind of excited in the black market or dark market. You have these you know, Uber Boss Expedition consumables, so that's kind of cool. We're gonna get these, and then this one requires level 80. So once we get to level 80, we're going to do these, and I don't know. I hear that the loot doesn't drop from these bosses just yet, but maybe it'll drop, and then maybe we'll do those. should be pretty cool once the loot start dropping here. We'll see kind of stuff can happen. I haven't seen any of these fights. It's gonna be a blast. This game is awesome. And yeah, I mean, I guess I'm gonna have to go and get some rest. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to drop by the Twitch stream, drop your Twitch Prime sub, because we definitely need the support and it helps a lot. You know, because I only work part-time and streaming is a big part of my income, so I do appreciate all and every kind of support. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys on stream. Bye bye.